tradition, conservation, family, the outdoors. It matters to you. It matters to us. This is Hunting Matters, presented by Houston Safari Club Foundation. Here's Joe Betar.
Good morning. Welcome back to Hunting Matters on KPRC 950 AM, brought to you by the Houston Safari Club Foundation. I'm your host, Joe Betar.
I am Ramon Robles.
How you doing today, Ramon?
I am well, better than our friends in Denver.
Oh, man. Woo.
But they're ready for that. I mean, they've got equipment.
Man.
But to an extent.
Yeah, but they, from what I'm hearing, it's supposed to be the blizzard of all time there. 45-mile-an-hour winds, 2 feet of snow.
Okay, never mind.
So, I mean, we lamented our winter storm, and it wasn't good, but geez.
Yeah, that is pretty nasty.
And March? Come on.
That's true. Yeah, I forget about that. I can't believe it's already March.
I think the worst thing would be if you've just planted your spring garden and paid a lot of money to plant your shrubs in Denver, and it's not good for you at all.
Yep.
What you been up to?
Not a lot. Just doing a little light reading around the house when my kids allow it. We have decided to take a road trip next month.
Where are you going?
Not sure. It's going to be a Texas thing, just because we know the COVID restrictions and the whole concealed carry thing and all that. So, we don't know yet. And we got the kids, so we got to consider,
distances,
butt endurance and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was going to tell you, roll out to Marfa and go see Big Ben, but that's a hike.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my kids would appreciate it as much as, getting on a train in, Palestine or something and just, going back and forth or whatever. So, we'll see. The world's
I think you ought to do a barbecue tour of Texas and just go,
Dude,
kids.
Hey.
Don't
pull my arm. Yeah.
Stop and see the biggest ball of yarn in the world and that sort of thing.
Yeah, largest frying pan, snake farm, things like that. Yeah, you know what? That's what we did growing up. Our kids would take that. Yeah, sometimes we had AC, sometimes we didn't.
And they remember it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, when I was a kid, we could climb into the back and up on the dash in the back window and sleep in there and fall asleep, and those days are over.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Could you imagine the story of somebody catching a picture of a kid crawled back there asleep?
Nope.
The hell that would rain down on that family?
Nope.
That's a shame.
And if you were good, you got to ride in the bed of a truck.
Right.
Which you don't see that anymore either.
My friends traveled from New Orleans to Houston in the back of a truck.
How old were they?
17, 16.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, could you imagine seeing that now?
No.
You couldn't. You would be pulled over.
Yeah.
You would be shamed.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
What are we doing, Joe? Come on.
I don't know. Well, talking about a bunch of meaningless stuff. So, what's happening? Okay. So we yesterday was the filing deadline in the state of Texas for bills. We've been working on a few things. There's one called House Bill 2213, and I'm going to kind of give you the cliff notes on it. Basically, in Texas, if you are hunting whitetail and you have a whitetail and an axis or an exotic deer in the same field, you can shoot the whitetail and donate it to a nonprofit food bank, but you can't do the same thing with an exotic. So we're trying to get that changed so we can feed more people. There's a lot of hunters out there that are trying to donate sources of protein to orphanages and nonprofit food banks and that sort of thing. So we're trying to get that cleaned up, and hopefully that'll get through this session. Working on some other stuff. It's been crazy this past week legislatively, talking to legislative directors and representatives and senators and stuff. So that's always the case. But, you have one shot every 2 years to try to get stuff done.
Are you working the phones, talking to them yourself?
Yeah, phones, emails, text. I mean, it's just...
Do you cold call, or do you know these people mostly?
Sometimes cold call. Mostly I know them or have had interactions with them.
Like cold call me. I'm a new senator, state senator, or a state rep.
Hi, Ramon. Senator Robles. We are trying to pass a law to legalize the use of pink balloons on Saturdays in Texas. How do you feel about that?
Who's we?
Me and the Clown Brigade.
I wanted to hear your pitch as the guy representing the Houston Spark.
I mean, we just I just call them and tell them about what the issue is, how it can help people, and ask for their support on it. If they've introduced a bill, we tell them we're supporting it. Okay. If they've not introduced it, we explain to them why it's important and how it can benefit not only their constituents but all the people of Texas.
Throw your weight around a little bit. Yep. Hey guys, you might not know who I am, but
I'm kind of a big deal. But no, not at all. They don't care. They talk to 100 guys like me every day asking for something with their hands out. But it is what it is. So hopefully we'll get that done. Some cool stuff coming up. March 20th, we're going to have a quail shoot. Nice. Houston Safari Club Foundation is. April, we're going to have a crawfish boil. It's going to be a fun day in April. In April, we're doing a crawfish boil. We're going to do a fun shoot where people can come out and shoot sporting clays. We're having this knockout game and shooting. We're going to do catch and release fishing. And then we're going to wrap it up at the end of the day with some live country music under the big oaks out in Hockley, near the Hockley, Waller, Texas area. Have some crawfish and catfish, so you can come.
Can I come?
Yeah, because I know you don't eat shellfish.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or catfish.
Well, you'll just have to have the French fry plate, I guess.
I'm sure there's going to be alcohol.
No, we never do that. So you can have a soda, and have a Coke and a smile, go sit in the corner and shut up. I appreciate that. So that'll be coming up. And then we're going to do a big reception in May at one of our members' trophy room. And then June, you probably know who this guy is Craig Boddington. Craig is a world-renowned world traveler, author, conservationist, hunter. Spends a lot of time in Africa and all over the world. He's going to come speak to us. So, folks, go to wehuntwegive.org and learn about all the upcoming events. And these things are open to members and non-members.
Cool.
Hopefully you'll come, meet some people, join us, become a member of Houston Safari Club Foundation, and help us support the future of hunting. So, anyway, let's get on to the good stuff. Today we have a guest with us. His name is Aaron Davidson. Aaron is the president and CEO of Gunwerks. We're going to learn about what Gunwerks is. And, folks, let me go ahead and tell you now. It's Gunwerks, Gunwerks. You can learn about them at Gunwerks, Gunwerks.com. Aaron, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you. Glad to be here.
Where are you calling us from today?
I am in the wonderful state of Wyoming, up in Cody Country, which is east side of Yellowstone Park.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful area. Ramon and I will be up there next week to do a tour of the your home office and
appreciate you having us.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having us next week.
You bet. You bet. I do it all the time.
He's locking the door.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's pushed the button under his desk, and
he's having cell problems.
The staff is scrambling, and they're on there.
Well, we have a minute left. We kind of waited a little too late to get to you, but I have a whole bunch of ignorant questions to ask you, Aaron. So we're going to do that, and Joe's going to ask the more intelligent questions when we come back.
Let's go ahead and ask him your fun question, though. You always ask.
You want to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron. Currently, where you're sitting or standing, what is the closest weapon you have, and what is it?
That's crazy. I'm staring at a Gunwerks Magnus 5 feet away in the corner of my office, leaning up against the wall. It's a brand new gun, just got finished. I haven't got to shoot it yet. It's pretty sexy.
Is that a rifle, a handgun? What is it?
It's a rifle.
Okay.
What caliber?
It's a 7mm LRM, long-range Magnum.
Wow.
Goodness.
Anytime you have a caliber that has millimeter behind it,
right,
it means business. It means business. Yeah, I love it. All right, man. We're going to take a quick break. Folks, join us on the other side after the break. We're here today, and we're going to dig into Gunwerks with Aaron Davidson, the president and CEO of Gunwerks. We'll be right back with Hunting Matters on KPRC 950. Good morning. Welcome back to Hunting Matters on KPRC 950. I'm your host, Joe Bitar.
I am Ramon Robles.
Good choice of music there, Ramon.
I appreciate that, even though it's a double negative.
Yep, it is. And you will be penalized for that later for selecting a double negative song title. All right, folks, we're here today with Aaron Davidson. Aaron is the president and CEO of Gunwerks. That's spelled Gunwerks. And if you add a .com on the end of that, you can go to their website and do like Ramon and I have been doing, salivating on the microphone and gawking at all the products and things like that. So let's get into it. Aaron, Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Gunwerks. What is Gunwerks for those, I can't imagine who, but Gunwerks is a company that does what?
The grand scheme is that we are a full systems provider for long-range shooting. So we try to own everything from the ammunition all the way through to the ballistic solution that you're using to calculate your ballistics. Everything in between, rifles, actions, barrels, scopes, you name it. We're in that business. And what we try to do is provide a turnkey system so that we can take somebody that maybe doesn't have a lot of experience shooting long range, and we can give them a little bit of training or a little guidance via, online programming or whatever, and get them into the sport and comfortable with their equipment and capable of making shots that they didn't even think were possible.
I mean, your tagline here says 1,000 yards right out of the box. I mean, that's saying something, man.
That's pretty accurate. I mean, we kind of push a little farther than that nowadays, but that's what we were doing a few years ago.
Wow. You push a little further than 1,000 yards, huh? And that's impressive.
What's the longest shot that you've ever accomplished, Aaron?
You know, we only count, and again, I'm talking, we're a hunting products company. I mean, we're all hunters. You know, most of our customers are hunters, and they're buying equipment that will help them be successful. And we really try to get guys geared up for that 6, 7, maybe pushing an 800-yard shot in the field, with wind and other conditions. But for myself, there's been a few opportunities where all the stars aligned and I was able to shoot over 1,000 yards.
Wow.
And we only count shots that are where you kill with the first shot.
Right.
If it takes a couple shots, those aren't anything to bring home and tell stories about. So we're pretty keen on that, making sure we know what our limitations are and kind of being able to judge conditions and know what shots are capable and which ones aren't.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're getting to 1,000 yards plus, those are the ones when you look up out of the eyepiece of your scope and you actually see the impact. I mean, it's just when you're pushing that far, it's pretty crazy. I'm curious to learn how did you get into this line of work? What was your background to get into to running Gunwerks?
Kind of funny story. I got into hot rods when I was in high school, and I spent every spare minute where I wasn't doing homework, which I didn't do a lot of, or chasing girls, which I did a little bit of. I spent that time working on cars, and I liked the power. I liked the sound. I liked being able to do things with my hands, and it was a pretty fun hobby. I got married early and ended up at college with a wife and starting a family, and I found that my hot rods could pay for a lot of months of operating expenses for the family, and I could sell a hot rod and take a little bit of that proceeds, buy a gun, fund the family coffers for a few months, and then I could spend some of my spare time down at college, learning how to reload, setting guns up, trying to get them shoot good, and so I really kind of switched my passion from the hot rods to the firearms in that college space, and I went to school to be a mechanical engineer, and so getting exposed to kind of a new hobby or a new passion at the same time, getting that fire hose of the education, you start making these connections and these synapses, and it didn't take me but a couple years after I graduated to know that my calling was to create this product, to provide this service to our customers, and I quit what I was doing and started Gunwerks. Bootstrapped it from there.
I got to shift gears here for a second. So you're talking about hot rods. My father-in-law does ground up restorations on cars that are 1950s and earlier. Were you doing rebuilds? Were you doing restorations? What was it you were doing with these cars?
You'd probably call it like a resto mod.
Yeah.
In today's terminology, there was cars like I had a 69 Camaro, a 64 Impala Super Sport. I did a 55 Chevy pickup, like a 67 Cadillac, 67 Plymouth Barracuda. I pretty much loved all of those things, but the big money got spent on the Chevys, with big motors and learned how to paint cars, learned how to do upholstery, learned how to rebuild motors, lots of cool learning lessons there.
Tell me the one you wish you had back that you let go.
Oh man, that one's tough. That's kind of funny. I never finished that Barracuda.
I had a feeling the Barracuda was going to come back up.
That's the one that I'd like to have back so I could finish that project.
Yeah, man, if you could track that one down. I have a buddy that he's in his 50s now, and he actually tracked down the old Range Rover he had in high school. Some guy called him and said, "Hey, we got a Range Rover out here in the barn, It's a lime green, and we found this name and this old owner certificate or whatever they found in it. Are you that guy? And he's like, yeah. He goes, do you want it back? And he bought his high school ride back. The greatest day of his life. The greatest day of his life, and he's fully restored that one. So you started Gunwerks back in 2006. So how has the company changed, the vision for the organization changed since 2006 for you?
Well, you know, the original direction actually, surprisingly, still holds true. I mean, it's to become that, you know, systems provider. Now, what we're able to do now is completely different. And, you know, the vision of how big we've been able to, you know, to grow to, you know, maybe I didn't quite see that far in the future, but I have been, you know, fairly, you know, invested in creating a bigger organization, a more complex organization that has more capabilities, you know, building something, you know, for the future. So while maybe I didn't picture the size and scale, I did know we were going to get big and we were going to grow, and we did have aspirations to, you know, conquer the world, so to speak.
Yeah, and it was like you mentioned before. I mean, you're a one-stop shop. You do rifles, you do optics, you do rifle components and ammunition and accessories. And how big, you know, I mean, I look at it, I'll use this analogy. You know, we as a society have learned more because we have information and technology at our fingertips. We can pop open our phone. If we don't know how to fix something, we can watch a YouTube video. We can do that. So I think our intelligence level on a lot of different in a lot of different areas has increased. I say that because I want to talk about the custom rifle market. You know, before you go down to your local Walmart, you go to your academy or whatever your store of choice is in your local area, and you buy if you want a 270, if you want to buy a pistol or whatever that may be. How now those times have changed. I think the consumer level has changed. How exciting is it to you to see the custom rifle market grow and change?
Well, I think it's really cool. I mean, I think a rising tide floats all boats. So it's good for us, and yeah, it's great for our competitors as well. But I do believe that, you know, I've been able to see, you know, in my short, you know, experience here in this business, a pretty cool shift, a dynamic shift. You know, the custom rifle business when I started was a handful of old timers, you know, that were doing things kind of the way they were doing them 25 years prior. You know, maybe a new paint finish or a this or that, but it was a little bit more of the craftsmanship, a little bit more of the, you know, the classic American type styling. You know, everybody's kind of thinking 400 yards is a long ways.
Right.
A lot of guys were chasing big calibers.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a clear field for us to come in and just really set those guys back on their heels and kind of change the dynamic. So then it wasn't just, oh, this gun is a little fancier, therefore I'm going to buy it. The custom gun market, after we entered into the scene and made a national deal out of it, was, hey, this gun gives me more performance in the field. I can do more with this. Right. All of a sudden, instead of, you know, a custom gun shooting really tight groups and, you know, maybe you can shoot something at 400 yards, now all of a sudden you've got a gun that you can tip over an elk at 950 yards with.
That's cool.
And that's a completely different. And all of a sudden everybody's like, well, wait a minute. Maybe it is worth the money. You know, instead of buying a $1,000 factory gun, maybe it is worth the money to spend $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah,
you know,
I can see
and so
that.
We see that whole shift of now it's performance. It's not just art and it's not just, you know, craftsmanship. It's literally you're buying performance and capability. And the truth is, what we're seeing is a complete shift back where all the big manufacturers recognize that people want to buy performance, and so you see them coming into the marketplace as well with their offerings to try to compete.
All right, folks, we're here today with Aaron Davidson, the president and CEO of Gunwerks. We're going to take a quick break and continue our conversation. I can't even talk today, on Hunting Matters on KPRC 950. I won't embarrass you or anything.
All right. Maybe next week.
I think you have to drink a lot of coffee and smoke a carton of cigarettes to get to that voice.
It would help.
Yeah, definitely. All right, folks, we're here today with Aaron Davidson. Aaron is the president and CEO of Gunwerks. You can learn about them at gunwerks.com. That's Gunwerks. Good morning, Aaron. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Aaron, I have a ignorant question, but I guess no question's ignorant. But Wyoming, what are you known for as far as food goes?
Geez, that's a tough one. I don't know if it would be anything besides beef.
Yeah, okay. What would you serve the President of the United States come in to dinner? What would be the dish that you would the dish to represent Wyoming? Would that just be a steak, or what is it?
That sounds so lame, but I literally am not coming up with anything better than that.
Well,
I would take him to the Proud Cut Saloon down on Main Street, Cody, Wyoming.
Okay.
And we would get a nice flat iron steak with some big beer battered shrimp to go with it.
Oh my goodness! What is the closest and best fast food place you have from where you are right now in Wyoming?
Fast food. It's got to be Dairy Queen, man.
Oh, I didn't realize Dairy Queen went that far north.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. What's your favorite Blizzard?
Oreo. You can throw mint in it. You can throw chocolate chunks in it.
It's versatile,
You
yeah.
can throw a little chocolate sauce, but an Oreo Blizzard's good. It's the bomb.
It's a good answer.
Well, while we're on the phone, on the conversation of Dairy Queen, Aaron, have you ever heard of a dip top double dipped cone?
Yes.
Okay.
Double dipped.
Double dipped. See, my wife that's her.
You can go back and have them dip it again?
No, if you bite it, they're not going to stick it back in the chocolate. Oh. That's her guilty pleasure. When she orders at the drive-thru or something, she goes, I want a dip top cone, double dipped. And they dip it, let it hard shell, and then they dip it again.
Why not 3 times?
Yeah, you could.
Well,
I'm sure they'll dip it as many times as you want, as long as you pay for each dip.
Sorry, I took us off track. That's my job, though, kind of.
Ramon's hungry. He can't help it.
Yeah.
He's hungry. It's early. All right. So back in, I guess what, it was 2020, you guys created a brand new facility. I mean, it's like a 45,000 square facility that you guys raised in 20.
Yeah, we moved in July of 20.
How long did that take to get together? How many years in the planning?
It was probably about a 4-year prep. From lining up the resources to, getting the architecture done and lining up the contracting and pulling the trigger.
Was that to meet demand, or what was the impetus behind going to a larger facility?
This drive that we have to kind of own every aspect of that shooting system, it kind of blends over into some vertical integration effort. And for me, having enough space to put the machines and the processes in place to have a little bit more control over our supply chain, it lets us control quality, and more significantly, it lets us be very, very flexible in our delivery capabilities. We had in 2019, we had an average 48-day delivery on our custom rifle builds. And if you look at our custom builder, you can configure about 3.5-4 billion different options, depending on which paint scheme we allow today or what barrel lengths we're offering. But there's a lot of different options, and we were able to deliver those guns in an average of 48 days in 2019. But to do that, we had in 2018 we had to build up, a little production capability, and then we had to add about $4 million of inventory, to hold safety stock to be able to meet that flexibility, because a lot of our suppliers are only able to produce, products in say 6 months to 12-month type lead times. And so we would have to forecast way in advance, stock a lot of inventory, hold lots of safety stock, so that we could be really flexible with our customers and satisfy that desire for an instant delivery. By vertical integrating, say like action manufacturing, barrel manufacturing, et cetera, what it allows us to do is have less inventory holding costs, but to be really, really responsive. If you want this barrel length, contour, caliber, we can make it today and put the gun together tomorrow and, have it out the door to you really quick. So having that ability to control a little bit more of the supply chain is very, very key to satisfy, the kinds of customers that we have.
As CEO, could you just go down to the storeroom, pick you up one of those rifles, and just take it home?
They're there could be a little friction. I would have to make sure it wasn't a customer's
custom,
rifle, and he wasn't planning on going sheep hunting next week with it.
Right.
You know, that's how I've hunted for the past 12, 13 years. Is I literally will go grab a gun out of the inventory off the rack, and just like a customer, take it out of the box and go on a hunt, go have success. And, come back home, and maybe I would use that gun a couple different times, but then it would get sold eventually, and I would grab another gun the next time I'd go out.
Quality control.
We were talking about that Magnus in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first gun that I've ever built for myself.
So, okay, all right. I'm looking at it. I mean, I'm looking at some of the Magnus rifles you have here. These things are just like spaceships, man. They're gorgeous.
Thank you.
Do you have any chambered for left-handed action?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Otherwise, I wasn't going to buy one.
Are you lefty?
I am.
Oh,
I'm
too.
left eye dominant.
Me too.
I shoot like that.
Oh, that's weird.
Wow. Are we brothers?
Did we just become best friends or what? Want to go in the garage and do some karate?
Stop. Sorry about that, Aaron. We're professional radio men.
Okay. So we could talk for hours about the products. I'm kind of a gun and optics geek, but what is it you're most excited about that's coming out in your gun line and your optics line over the next year?
On the gun side, I feel like our whole industry, the custom gun industry, has kind of adopted the Remington 700 as the standard kind of universal platform of exchange. So it's like if somebody makes this action, this barrel, this stock, you can put all that stuff together and make it work. And that's what all the little gun shops thrive on, is they source their actions, barrels, and all their parts and pieces from these different manufacturers. And because there's this pseudo standard of the Remington 700 platform, they're able to, configure them without a lot of work, put together a really nice gun that shoots good and works well for their customers. And that's where we started a long time ago. And then over the years, as we did our own, design and engineering and our own products, we kind of adopted the same standard. And, for me, I think it's great and it works good and it's served us well. But there's some really exciting things that you can do when you say, clear the drawing board. What do we want? How are we going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we walk away from all of this past baggage? And you can't really do that as a small company because the volumes and the cost of engineering and development don't work. We're finally at that size to where we can take on a project like that. So we're going to see some very different, firearm designs that are more modular, that meet the needs of our customers, especially our guys that travel. Like, we travel all over the world hunting. We produce a TV show, and, I've hunted in front of a camera for a long time. And so you produce these shows and you travel, and it turns into a professional thing, and it gets to be kind of a grind. Dragging a huge rifle case around an airport's a pain in the butt. But just solving that problem of transporting your firearm to another country, as part of this build for a rifle is pretty exciting. I mean, there's so many things that we can do as soon as you take off those handcuffs.
All right. Very cool. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break on Hunting Matters. This is our show featuring Aaron Davidson, the president and CEO of Gunwerks. We'll be back on the other side. Good morning. Welcome back to Hunting Up Matters on KPRC 950. I'm your host, Joe Bitar.
I am Ramon Robles.
We're talking today with Aaron Davidson. Aaron is the president and CEO of Gunwerks. You can learn all about their very, very cool products at Gunwerks, GUNWERKS.com. Good morning, Aaron. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, as we went into the break, we were talking about rifles and all kind of stuff, but let's talk about optics. What's cool and new from you guys as far as optics, and what can we expect in the near future as far as technology with optics?
A lot of guys look at Gunwerks, and because we're called Gunwerks, you kind of just go right to the gun side. Mm-hmm. A place that we've really pushed the industry is on the optics. Our first product out of the gate featured a custom ballistic turret, and that means the elevation dial is calibrated in yards, We had some patented wind technology built into that, and we'd set the program up so that it could be easily customized by the average consumer. All the big companies were scared of that one-on-one direct-to-consumer, approach. So that set the industry back, and within 3 years, all the big guys were offering the same thing. We did the same thing in 2011 with a ballistic rangefinder, first rangefinder in the world that featured onboard ballistic solution.
Nice.
And we didn't have a competitor in the world for almost 5 years.
Wow, what a head start!
And then we launched a rifle scope in 2017 that features a little micro display, ballistic computer, elevation encoders, all that stuff. So you're looking through the scope, and you can see your target, but then up at the top there's a little display, and you just turn that dial until the display shows the yards to target, and it's measuring pressure and temperature and incline and compass setting. And it's doing all these corrections in real time. It's awesome. And the user, like anybody, say the target's 400 yards. Well, you just turn the knob till it says 400. Anybody can do that. So, like, we're applying super high technology, like super complicated stuff, and we're packaging it in a way that a novice or a person that really doesn't care to be an expert and he just wants to shoot and have fun, that person can use that product and get the benefit of all that technology. Where we're at as a company is taking, a few of these projects that we've done and then kind of going for a systems approach or an ecosystem approach where multiple products talk and work together. And so all of our Gen 2 type products are slated to have a lot more of the Apple approach where everything kind of just works together.
That's very cool. I mean, you're obviously are psyched about the products and the technology and that sort of thing. And as a mechanical engineer, you can probably speak to this. There's probably more technology in the optics you guys are creating than there was in the first manned spacecraft.
I don't know about the first manned spacecraft. I hope those guys had better engineers than us working on that thing. But it really was a big project. It took me about 5 years to put that scope product together. We had to wait a year on the development because one supplier that we were working with in Europe was building this micro OLED display, and we literally waited and held off development until we got the first prototypes of that product and then configured the rest of our system around it. I mean, it was the first product in the world that featured one of those little teeny micro OLEDs. It's half the size of your pinky fingernail.
Wow, that's nice. How exciting is that? Now, I mean, don't laugh at me, but could you use that for a novice hunter, like say, 400 yards, 300 yards? I mean, is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, I would say anytime, that distance probably gets past 300 yards, you're starting to have to hold over or correct for elevation. Mm-hmm. That's where long range starts, is when you have to start making a correction. Yeah. So if you need to make a correction and you need to dial up to 375 yards, perfect. Like, there's no question about where that bullet's going to hit on the target.
What kind of battery does it use?
The PMR Gen 1 runs off a AAA battery.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We use lithium AAAs, and they'll last a long time.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's sweet. You don't have to track down those odd battery sizes that you used to. That's incredible. Talking about long-range shooting, I mean, you guys are equally as well known, I think, for your training events and long-range university training with with students and shooters. Tell us a little bit about that.
We've been doing training since 2007, so we've got a pretty mature program. Our curriculum gets an overhaul probably about every 2 or 3 years. We add a little bit to it, kind of new technology, new methods, things that we've learned. But it's a fairly mature product. It's geared a little bit different than most of the long-range shooting, training courses that you find out there. We're really focused on smart, simple solutions that don't require, math and formulas and metric systems and all sorts of things there that a lot of other people do that maybe got their experience through the military or other avenue. So that's one of the things that's really important. We've got a really nice training facility. We got 640 acres up in the mountains where you can do high incline, high wind, really cool stuff there. We've got 250 acres on a Katy range with a 5,000 square foot building where you got a really comfortable classroom setting, and then you can walk into the next room and shoot and practice the things that we've just discussed. And so you get this really quick feedback mechanism from classroom to shooting. So the format's pretty good. We do some traveling events throughout the off season, but here in Cody from May to October, it's every week full time.
Do these courses run a day, a week? I mean, what's the duration of your various
Usually
courses?
we try to break a course down into a 2-day course, but there's a progressive learning experience. So you can come take a bite, or you can have a full meal. You can stay a whole week and get through level 1 and 2 and 3, or you can just take a level 1 and then come back and visit Cody and the museum and all the cool stuff next summer and do a level 2.
Sounds like we need to plan our vacation next year.
Yeah.
Ramon. I mean, I could definitely get into that for a week.
That'd be awesome.
You guys do? Do you guys do military training as well at all?
It's not really our niche.
Okay.
We know where our focus is, and we kind of stick there.
Yeah. Man, that sounds like an incredible program.
So no bending the bullet courses or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, we could talk about Gunwerks and all the products. We're going to have you back on to do a deep dive on the products. But we typically wrap up the show with a couple of questions to get to know our guest a little bit better. So you've traveled all over the world. You've hunted all over the world. You're going to have to share with us one of your most memorable hold my beer moments that's happened to you in the field.
Oh, geez. Hold my beer moments. You make a good shot and it goes right where it's supposed to go. It kind of has to count. I've done that so many times that it's hard to pick one of them out. How's that for humility?
Yeah.
I was hunting elk a couple years with my kids a couple years back, and had the opportunity to take a nice bull elk. Not a monster trophy, but just a really smooth setup and shot execution, and it just to be able to to be with them and to show them how it's done, so to speak. I think that one probably feels a lot better than some longer shots that I've made or some bigger trophies that I've had.
Yeah, I can see why. When you have your kids out there and experiencing those moments with them and watching them hunt and fish, that's it. What's next on your bucket list as far as hunting goes?
My brother and I have been putting off the big moose hunts for quite a while, and I think we've got a couple good hunts lined up this year. We're going to go do an Alaska moose hunt, and we're going to do a Newfoundland moose hunt, and try to tick a couple of those boxes off. I am not getting younger, and those moose hunts they're hardcore. You're backpacking heavy loads out, and I think we probably can't put them off any longer. So moose hunt's coming up. That next sheep hunt is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks so much for joining us, folks. We've been talking today with Aaron Davidson. Aaron is the president and CEO of Gunwerks. Go check out all their cool products at Gunwerks. That's GUNWERKS.com. Aaron, thanks so much. And, folks, we'll see you at Hunting Matters again next week on KPRC 950.
A woman and the kids and the dogs and me.